Right, hello. Welcome to the first episode of A Complicated Guide to Basic Drag. My name is Richard, if you don't know me, although I'm assuming you know me if you're watching this, because how the hell else would you have gotten here? And I'm gonna be doing a series, of kind of like the real basics of basics when it comes to a really, really basic drag look. But I really want to go in depth about kind of like the theory behind why you do certain things and why some things work and some things necessarily don't work. And I kind of want to target this to people who have a really, really basic, if not non-existent knowledge of makeup and particularly skincare. In this episode, I want to talk to you about skin prep. Skin prep for drag is specifically preparing your face for drag makeup. So there are a few products that you want to stay away from and that you want to go towards. The first thing you need to do when kind of figuring out a skin prep routine is to know your skin type. So you want to know, is your skin oily? Is your skin dry? Is your skin combination? Is your skin dehydrated? So I can kind of start out by explaining those things. If your skin is oily, your skin will build up oil throughout the day. It's the end of the day for me. I have normal to oily skin, and if I get in real close, you can see that my nose is quite shiny. Ignore this, that's my glasses being too dark. You can kind of see on my forehead. My forehead's a little bit more dry, but it's mainly my nose. And thankfully this lighting's quite soft, so you don't really see a whole lot of oil. But the other thing that I notice about my skin is, especially around here and around my mouth, I'm very dry. To the point where if I'm wearing makeup all day, I get flaky, and it kind of breaks down weirdly and goes a bit patchy. So I know that I need to both hydrate my skin really well, moisturize my skin really well, but also not overload it. That's really important, especially when doing drag. You don't want to overload your skin. If you think you might have dry skin, your skin will get drier throughout the day, or it might get flaky if your skin's really irritated, or if you haven't been taking care of it. If you're dehydrated, it usually means that your skin is producing enough oil, but it's not getting enough water. So that can often manifest in dryness with breakouts. That's kind of the easiest way to find out if you have dehydrated skin. And then combination skin is just kind of like either normal to oily, normal to dry, dry and oily, which is me. Let's move on to talking about some products. In terms of prepping for drag, you want to cleanse, you want to tone, you want to moisturize, and you want to prime. Priming is really important for drag because that will help extend the longevity of your makeup. Cleansers. If you are wearing makeup, you always want to double cleanse as part of your routine. So that's a cleanser to remove your makeup and then a cleanser to clean your skin. If you have oily skin or any type of skin, honestly, your first cleanse, I always recommend an oil cleanser. So whether that is something like Cleanse Oil from MAC, the Midnight Recovery Cleansing Oil from Kiehl's, the Take Off the Day Balm from Clinique, Hamish does a really good take off cleansing balm. Banilico does a really good cleansing balm. There's a lot of different things at a lot of different price points. What you want to make sure your oil cleanser does is that it emulsifies, which is that when the oil cleanser mixes with water, it makes a weird sort of like milky situation. That's when you know that when you're cleansing that oil cleanser off, it's not going to stick in your skin and cause breakouts or clogged pores, anything like that. That's why I don't, and people are not going to enjoy this, that's why I don't recommend coconut oil as a cleanser, like literally ever, because there's no advantage that you gain from using coconut oil as a cleanser other than it breaks everything down. In order to clear the coconut oil out of your skin, you're going to have to use a much stronger cleanser, which would ultimately leave your skin unbalanced. So cleansing for oily skin, you want to make sure that you are cleansing enough to clean your skin, but you don't want to strip your skin. And this kind of applies to every sort of level of skin oiliness and dryness. It's kind of like a spectrum where like super, super oily acne prone skin sits at one end, and at the other end you've got like really, really dry, flaky, like eczema prone, super sensitive skin. Those are kind of that's the gamut. Sensitivity can run anywhere along the gamut, and you'll know if you're sensitive if you react to products often, if your skin goes red very easily, if you experience tingling or stinging, especially around the eye area. That's where I get my sensitivity. And then also you can kind of tell I'm really red along here. In all cleansers, foaming cleansers in particular, you want to avoid an ingredient called sodium lauryl sulfate. that is a surfactant. It's really good at cleaning, but it is essentially dishwashing liquid. It's a detergent. So it's really, really stripping. It's going to remove all of your natural oils, which you don't really want to do. And eventually, over usage, it's going to break down your lipid barrier, which we can get into in a different time and some weird skincare science stuff. But basically, that's what protects your skin from damage. And you don't want to remove that because once it's gone, she don't come back. You also want to avoid alcohol. There's nothing good that can be gained from alcohol in skincare. All it does is sensitizes and dries. So yeah, cleansers, you want to work on balancing products, so stuff that promotes balancing, oil-free. Your skin's producing enough oil, doesn't really need any more, especially for going under drag makeup. For your everyday, find stuff that works for you that makes your skin feel great. Normal skin, you want to focus on like things that have like daily cleanser in the title, or gentle. Gentle's a good way to go generally because it's usually not going to hurt your skin. If you are dry, oil cleansers are your best friend. They are so gentle. They will remove everything without stripping. You could use them as a daily cleanser if you're not wearing makeup. I would say if you are wearing makeup and you just want to buy one cleanser but you want to double cleanse, just double cleanse with an oil cleanser and you're good. Look for things that are hydrating and for sensitive skin. The most important part of prepping skin for drag is in the moisturizing phase, because there's a very fine line between moisturizing enough and then too much. So if you moisturize too much, that's going to affect how your makeup wears. Toners, not 100% necessary. If you're super dry, look for a hydrating toner. If you're super oily, look for a more exfoliating toner. If you're normal, I don't know what to tell you. You probably don't need a toner. Always avoid astringent toners. So, which is toners that are high in alcohol content. Like I said, it does nothing for the skin. Alcohol toners were developed decades ago when mineral oil was a really popular ingredient in skincare because alcohol breaks down that really, really heavy oil, which kind of comes back around, sort of, not exactly to what I was talking about coconut oil before. Moisturizers, oily skin, you want to look for oil-free. Or keep the oil content low in a moisturizer if you have oily skin. If you are normal, once again, simplest moisturizer you can. In all realms of moisturizers, avoid mineral oil, which is usually on ingredients lists like paraffinium or paraffin, which is not to be confused with parabens, which we could talk about the pseudoscience of parabens later. But I don't want to get into that argument right now. If you're dry, obviously look for something a bit more active. You don't want to go for something super, super heavy. I always stay normal. You can always mix in oils for your skincare and stuff like that through your daily life to keep you hydrated. But for drag, I like to keep things very, very, very dry. Not like bone dry and flaky dry, but just not overloaded. Which is why I usually don't use a lot of serums, or if I do use a serum, I use it instead of a moisturizer because I don't want a lot of skincare product sitting on the skin. And you always want to make sure that you are applying your skincare with clean hands and that you're really working it into the skin. Next up on the list is primer. So you want to focus your primer on what your kind of concerns for your skin are. If you've done drag before, look at your skin, figure out what you don't like, and kind of find a primer that works to help with that. If you have really large pores, you want to find a smoothing primer. If your makeup is breaking down and it's settling into creases, you want to find a primer that has a bit more grip to it. If you're like me, my primer settles into my forehead lines, which you can't see in this lighting. Oh, thanks. And my lines around here, it settles around my nose. It breaks down around my nose because I have large pores and oiliness, as we discovered before. But then I also have dryness around here. So I use a hydrating primer that has oil control in it, and I will usually supplement in a slightly more drying primer, I guess. I'll mix that into it or leave it out in those areas where I don't need it. So where I'm here, when I'm dry, I don't add my drying primer in there. Yeah, if you're oily, you want to go for more mattifying primers. If you're dry, you want to go for more hydrating primers because that will help keeping your skin looking normal when it's in drag. That's what you want. You want your skin to look normal. You don't want it to look overly dry. You don't want to look overly shiny. Okay, so let's talk about my personal routine. So as we talked about before, I have combination skin. I am normal through here, dry here, oily here, dry here. If I'm wearing makeup, which I usually am not before drag, but if I am, I will cleanse with an oil cleanser to remove all of my makeup. And then I use I think it's called the low pH daily morning cleanser from Cosrx. I used to use the MAC Lightful Sea cleanser, but that's been discontinued. So sorry if you used that and you're currently crying because it was really good. Then I will tone. I personally use this little guy from Cosrx, which is an AHA BHA clarifying toner. Then what I do, it sounds bad, but I skip moisturizer when I'm doing drag. Purely because my skin produces enough oil to keep me going for a good long time. So I mix a couple of different things. I will go all over my face with this guy here. This is the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance Primer, which is a hydrating primer that has oil control elements to it. And then in my areas where I am prone to creasing or where I'm more oily, I will use this guy here, which is MAC Prep and Prime Skin Refine Zone. This would be any sort of mattifying primer or oil control primer. This is really heavy duty. On a client, I will usually use the micellar wipes from MAC. If my client is wearing makeup, I will use a dual phase makeup remover, which is one of those ones that has like the water on the bottom and then the oil at the top and you shake it. Then for prep, I really like softening lotion from MAC. Moisturizer comes next. I don't have one here, but I will usually use the MAC Moisture Infusion Serum, which is a really nice lightweight, well, it's kind of a heavy serum, but it's a really nice lightweight moisturizer. If someone's normal to dry, I usually use Kiehl's Ultra Facial Moisturizer, the one that comes in the bottle, not on the tub. That's the cream. Then I'll prime. Same products that I use in myself, I use in my kit. If you need smoothing, I like the MAC Pore Refiner Stick. But I've also heard really good things about the Benefit Professional Primer. Haven't used it myself, but any sort of like silicone primer will do the job. We'll do a lip balm usually. MAC lip conditioner is great, or if you're on a budget, QV lip balm that comes in a tube that you can get from the pharmacy. I think it's like $11. That stuff's really great. Once you kind of left it for as long as you can leave it in a client setting, obviously if it's on yourself, you can leave it a lot longer. I will often take a tissue and kind of press over the skin to kind of like take off the excess product, because you don't want to be applying a lot of foundation, especially if you're working with a lot of creams, over a very slippery base, because it's just not gonna melt into the skin quite as well. And then if someone is oily, I did a little bit of brow prep on their brows. I'll usually take a little bit of ISO just through the brow hairs. If your person is particularly dry, bit of micellar water through the brows, tissue it out. That's basically it for skin prep. I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about in terms of skincare. Next episode, sounds weird to say, I'm going to be talking more about foundation for drag, and the first two sort of steps. It's going to be a long one, but just talking about the differences between creams, powders, liquids, all that good stuff, and kind of my recommendations. All right, if you watched, thank you for watching. If you didn't, then you wouldn't have seen this, and I don't know why I'm talking to you. Bye.